archaeologists. And this is interesting because this grave was actually found in 2008 in northern Israel. But now in 2016, 8 years later, for some odd reason, they're telling us. So let's look at this and then let's understand
No, because that means they had to take 8 years to cover a cover story for it.
It said that 86 tortoise shells, an eagle's wing, and the pelvis of a leopard are some of the bizarre objects placed under, around, or on the body of a petite woman, likely a shaman buried 12,000 years ago in Israel. The body was placed on materials like clay, the cores of gazelle horns, seashells, a wild boar's forearm, and a human foot were put on her body. Now, what's interesting is when this was first found back in 2008, they claimed that it was an ancient grave which describes the woman as both elderly and disabled. Now they're saying
she's a shaman.
Now they're saying she's a shaman. It says it came from a professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and a professor from the University of Connecticut. So now they're calling this a fascinating funeral of the woman who was mysterious and just under 5 feet tall. The clues point to a 6-stage funeral for a special woman whose grave was sealed by a large rock. Doesn't that sound like the Christ
Well,
figure?
12,000 years ago would have been when Atlantis sank.
Okay. It said that there was a lot of preparation for the burial. Not only did the ancient people have to dig a pit to place the body in, they had to procure 86 tortoises for their shells. Then they had to find other objects and materials, which include flint, red ochre, and animal bones. The significant pre-planning implies that there was a defined to-do list and a working of ritual actions and their order, and demonstrates that funeral rituals were becoming more important events to people during this time period. So again, they're imprinting us with ritual, they're imprinting us with death ritual, and how does it go from a disabled and elderly woman to a shaman now?
Remember I'd said that they are going to find things in Israel and Greece and all these places that are related to the Bible that will bring up different information or prove things in the Bible. And I also read a story today, I didn't have time to put on our news, that the Israelis also have found a graveyard of the Philistines. Because they never knew where they came from.
Jeez,
and they want to find their genetic material, but they think they came from someplace in the West. That would be Atlantis, which I said the Philistines were Atlantean.
All right, so it's going to be interesting, but remember, they're bringing out all these terms so you get used to hearing them. And remember, oftentimes shock and awe, you goes, oh my gosh, and then the next thing you know, it's, normal. So, on that respect, here it talks about, it was an article about a Time model who was possessed by a cannibal ghost during live TV interview that screamed, bring me pig blood. Apparently this actress was being interviewed on television and announced that right in the middle of the interview that she was possessed by a spirit called Pop. Then she began to writhe and shriek, and then the host, for some odd reason, had a talisman on him that tried to show her, and then she,
it was in Thailand?
It was in Thailand.
They were very strange people.
Yeah. She said that she was often visited by this evil cannibalistic ghost named Pop. And what's interesting, they said that Pop is a known evil spirit in Thailand, yes, who often possesses the bodies of young women and claims that they're going to eat their insides. So, but again, we have blood, we have ritual, we have cannibalistic stuff, we have ghosts. So all of these things.
It's like Thai food.
And if people believe this, and I watched it, there's a thing, and I know she's an actress, but I think it was obviously a back altar that was out and active.
Probably.
She was not possessed. I know what possession looks like, and she was not possessed. She was just at an altar. Because I can see the energy, that's why. And it wasn't there. It was definitely a programming altar that was forward. And then, I don't know if you've ever heard of NFL running back Ricky Williams, but he is going to open a marijuana-friendly gym in San Francisco, California.
I predict a lot of injuries in that gym.
Where marijuana use is going to be encouraged.
Yeah.
This is going to be called Power...
A lot of smashed fingers and feet on that place.
Power Plant Fitness.
Like, hey man, could you help me lift the weight?
Yeah.
Oh, well man, I could do it with my finger.
Yeah. Anyway, he's a former running back it now goes on to say he's a partner and spokesman for the gym because the venture is the brainchild of Jim McAlpine because Ricky Williams doesn't have any brain left.
No, he's a brain dead.
Jim McAlpine is the co-founder of the 420 Games, which I never heard of, a series of running events developed to destigmatize cannabis.
Yeah.
Now, Williams is the puppet who will run the gym and will focus, now listen to this, quote, focus on an integrative full body and mind training. Members will be able...
So they're going to hallucinate that they
Yeah, that they
exercised.
did and think they look better.
And then they're going to eat like brownies there.
Well, that's what it says. It says members will be able to consume cannabis in the gym while working out.
Brilliant.
Power Plant will produce a line of athletic edibles and made for pre-workout focus and post-workout recovery, really. Now, Williams was a known marijuana user during his days. He failed multiple drug tests in the league. He was suspended from playing several times. He took early retirement prior to the 2004 season. Then he came back the next season, but was suspended in 2006.
He sounds like he'll be a success.
Well, he's the puppet, obviously. He has no brain left.
Yeah.
It says, living in California where marijuana...
Say no more. Living in California,
Yeah.
brain dead.
...is legal with a prescription and merely a violation without one, he is pretty free to use as much marijuana as he wishes. He is even going to be able to do it while working out in his own gym.
Oh, brilliant.
Isn't that amazing?
Super.
Okay, now remember what I'm telling you here is that they're continuing to imprint you with various things. So now we have a magical Kate Middleton appearing to levitate in recent
Isn't the real
photos.
one magical anyway?
So it says, it's
So
just as we
perfect.
had suspected, Kate Middleton has been able to levitate this whole time.
I knew it.
It says, it seems like she's straight up floating in this photo. Okay, but it is an optical illusion, and some images aren't what they seem, which is another kind of magic. Think how many people are reading these buzzwords. Magic, levitating.
I think she's an alien.
It says this particular shot, taken at a service marking the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme, I never heard of, did you ever hear of that one?
Maybe somewhat.
Is unfortunately the only one in which the Duchess of Cambridge appears to be a powerful wizard.
Ooh, she has a pointy hat.
But that doesn't mean she isn't one.
She isn't.
Now the interesting thing is I looked at this photo and I'd like to know your take on it because to me it looked photoshopped. It looked like that she kind of like had her feet cut out and then raised up a little bit.
Or was she?
So the point is people are reading it and these are buzzwords and they're imprinting you with these things.
Maybe she teaches at Hogwarts.
Now I've been talking to you a lot about, of course, the transgender, all this kind of issue. Well, you'll be interested to know that now there is a Utah man suing for the right to marry his computer. Okay? He says this is not a game. This is not some kind of funny scenario. Chris Sevier went to Utah County Clerk to ask for a marriage license because he said since it's legal for same-sex couples to marry, all other forms of marriage should be legal too. And he said that legalizing same-sex marriage is turning religious beliefs into law. And he said there's no scientific proof that homosexuality is a genetic trait. And then he says whatever a person has sex with, they can bond with.
He's going to have sex with his computer.
That's what people asked, but he basically said that it was none of their business.
Yeah.
He says it's completely irrelevant for the legal matters at hand.
Wait, I bet he's going to work out at that pot gym.
But he says that if the Supreme Court nullifies their ruling and redefines marriage as a union between a man and a woman, he would no longer want to marry his computer.
Uh-huh.
So, and then we've talked a bit about
It gives a whole new meaning to hard drive.
We have talked about transhumanists, which is a post-human
And
movement
floppy disk.
that uses technology to improve on organic bodies. So now there's this place, an activist, it's an international team of cyborgs, they call themselves cyborgs, technologists and activists called Cyborg Nest. They created something called the North Sense. This is their first product.
North
Sense. It's a Bluetooth-enabled, thumbnail-sized, embeddable piece of tech that attaches to your body with a couple of piercings, and it vibrates every time it faces magnetic north.
I know where I could put it.
Now, why would you want something in your body that would
vibrates?
vibrate every
Hello?
time it faces magnetic north? It's small.
Doesn't matter.
So, well, it depends on...
Not the size that counts.
Is that right? Well, they're telling people a lot of things if you want them to know you only need a small north sense.
Well, should
Did you
go
get that?
elaborate on that.
Well, so you better think about what you're saying.
I can't. I went to that marijuana gym.
Yeah. Anyway, North Sense gives you a sense of navigation, a natural phenomenon in some animals, thanks to their ability to detect a magnetic field. So guess what? If you had one and you were hiking, it says you could keep yourself on course without a compass. Hey, that's a reason to get an implant, right?
Wait a second. No, I can't.
No, you can't. Divers would know in what direction they were heading. New Yorkers would
Wait.
know where north was when they got out of the subway. What?
Where you put the thing, would it just point?
It doesn't point, honey. It vibrates.
Yeah, but would it point?
It vibrates.
How would you know what direction?
Put it in your finger and then let it vibrate. And then point your finger and then it'll tell you where north is. So if you go this way, it's not going to do it. If you go that way and that's north, then it'll vibrate. Okay?
Okay, yeah, okay.
You got it?
Yeah, I got
I know
it.
this is a little deep for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm explaining it to you very visually and with a lot of detail.
I'm trying to explain it to you, but you're not getting it.
Yeah, I'm ignoring you. And also people who practice feng shui could naturally detect when everything in their lives is aligned. Anyway, it says when you have the notion where north is, different maps will start building in your life. Isn't this ridiculous? It says, imagine kissing your girlfriend for the first time. And thank God you don't have a girlfriend, and neither do
How
I.
do you know?
If you have one, then we're going to get you one of those things and implant it in somewhere where the sun don't shine, and it will vibrate a lot. In fact, I might put like 6 of them in there.
Really? Oh, that might be fun.
And yeah, let's see how fun you think it is.
That's not where I put them.
That's where I would put it if you have a girlfriend. So, with north sense, you'd remember the moment, but also the direction it happened. Isn't that stupid? It's only the first sense to come from cyborgness, and I'd say it's not something to be proud of, honestly. It says you can pre-order it for about $360 with 2,000 initial units to be released in
And how do
September.
you stick it in your body? I'm just saying.
That might sound steep for a tiny piece of synthetic anatomy, but it's well worth it for anyone who wants to become more than human. Like, I don't think so. Okay, then we have, remember I'm telling you about lots of different things, but they're all connected, obviously. China. Now this has been out for a couple of weeks, but China denies shipping marinated human flesh in cans to be sold as food in Africa. Now again, the issue is imprinting. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. They just put this stuff out
Well, they
there.
have cannibals there.
An unnamed Zambian woman living in China reportedly issued warnings to Africans not to eat corned beef coming from China because she said that it was made from dead human bodies collected and marinated before being canned and labeled as corned beef. Really?
Well, you know what? I think it's possible. They eat everything else. Didn't you show me a video the other day of a woman eating live scorpions
I
on a
saw that.
stick
Yeah.
in China?
Yeah, but that's different than a dead body.
Well, really, I don't know. I'd rather eat a dead body than a scorpion.
Really? I wouldn't want any of that personally.
Scorpions are my peeps.
Anyway, and there's a man named Greg Foote who is a news reporter, and he described the aroma of cooked human flesh as similar to beef and ale stew. So what he did, and we talked about this before, and we had actually...
How does he know that?
Remember when we did on a podcast, there were 2 reporters and they took autopsies of each other and then they cooked it.
Yeah,
Do you remember
that was in Holland, I think.
Was it? That was like
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
more.
anyway, now this guy says that it's illegal to eat human flesh, even from your own body. So he had the
It
biopsy.
is?
That's what he says. So he had the biopsy done. Then he took it to a lab where they recreated the smell, and then from the smell they recreated a taste, supposedly.
Why?
I don't know.
Why do you
He
want
wanted
that?
to make scientific history. So isn't that silly?
Well, I think he's going to that marijuana gym.
Now, I have people who are going to the marijuana gym. Now, this is totally bizarre, but the reason I brought this up is this is, again, on mainstream Fox News, okay? There is a study that was done by Dr. Tammy Rowan, an obstetrician and gynecologist at the University of California in San Francisco. And apparently there were previous studies done. So the previous studies are done about why women groom their hair down there. For example, by shaving, waxing, or trimming. But now, Dr. Tammy Rowan, and personally I would be ashamed to have my name on this one, but apparently she's not.
Is it on there?
Yeah, Dr. Tammy
No, your
Rowan.
name, your
My
name.
name is not on there. I'm reporting it. Anyway, now she's looked at their motivations for women grooming their hair down there.
And the motivation is?
Well, it says because women are requesting genital cosmetic surgery. So she thinks that they're being motivated by aesthetics rather than functionality. And that pubic hair grooming might have a role in this trend because women are able to visualize their labia more easily now than in the past and thus are more motivated to change their appearance. Isn't that
I
stupid?
mean, the poor women in the past couldn't visualize their labia.
Apparently not. I guess they don't know what a mirror is.
So here's the question. Why?
Why? They surveyed 3,316 women, ages 18 to 65. 60% said they groomed for hygiene and cleanliness. 46% said it was part of their routine. 32% said they thought it made their vagina look nicer. This is their people. We have people starving in the world, and we have a doctor, obstetrician, and gynecologist doing a survey on pubic hair.
I think he has a little
It's
bit
a she,
of
Tammy. It's a she.
Yeah.
56% groomed for sex, 46% groomed for vacation, 40% said they trimmed for a healthcare visit.
Well, now I can sleep tonight.
So Rowan says, quote, I have noticed over the past couple of years that women are extremely self-conscious about their genitals and apologize for not being groomed. I mean, really?
You mean like when they're in the subway? Or
It says women were far more likely to groom if their partners also groomed and if their partner preferred that they groomed. Now, like I said, isn't this silly?
You see, here's the thing. I've seen many stories where men shave their things.
You have? Where did you see the stories?
It's all over the place.
It is.
Yeah, and here's the question.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, this is why they're trying to find out.
I have an answer.
Why?
I have an answer.
Why?
It's because they want to look like little boys.
There you go.
Because, they say, oh, it makes your parts look bigger. Who cares? It's still the same size, whether you shave or not.
Is that right?
Yes.
I'm happy to know that. It says about 84% of the women reported ever grooming their pubic hair, and nearly all said they trimmed it themselves. It's like, who else
84% did that.
reported of this group? But it says, who else would trim it if they didn't trim it themselves, right? It says
They could have a service come and do it.
removing the hair around or above the vagina was most common, followed by trimming the hair on the inner thighs. And listen to this: white women and those with a college degree were most likely to groom. Women over age 45 were about 95% less likely to groom.
So stay away from those women.
And the
guys.
practice can lead to cuts and infections.
You think?
And then it goes on to say how pubic hair serves important purposes.
See, I'm sorry, I have to say something about men.
Okay.
Why would they put a sharp object in that area to cut hair and shave it, especially on the other, the sensitive part? I can't imagine.
It says that pubic hair serves as a cushion between the outside world and the sensitive skin tissues of the vulva and possibly the labia. It traps bacteria, chemicals, and various things to prevent them from getting to the vagina and protects the skin from getting irritated. And she says it's still not clear whether trimming of pubic hair makes a difference to vaginal health. So they've surveyed this, they've spent probably thousands of dollars, and they still don't know. And she says it seems to be a cultural trend.
I'm going to start my own survey.
Isn't this ridiculous?
My own investigation.
We have starving people and homeless people in the world, and this is what they're spending our money on. This is ridiculous. I would be ashamed. But it gets better. Now, apparently, female armpit hair is also getting its moment.
Well, that should be shaved. I'm sorry. That
On
really
social
should
media and red carpets from New York to China, hairy underarms are having a mainstream moment.
Oh, no.
And apparently, when they're claiming when razors came about, that's when women started to shave. So now women have to fight for the right to not shave under their arms, apparently. We have to fight for everything. It said that there have been a lot of commercials and advertising for hair removal cream and laser removal of hair that have talked about women needing to shave their underarm hair and that the armpit area should be clean. My mother's generation, this is a 25-year-old talking, didn't care about that, but now it has become a headache for women in the summer as they have to consider whether to shave that area or not.
Wouldn't it be better in the summer?
My armpits are clean.
Please.
See, no hair. No hair. Okay?
I will never do that, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
You're supposed to have hair because you're a man. Okay. Love it or hate it, not shaving under the arms has morphed into a call to action for other women as well who are looking to be free of the constraint or choose for themselves without ridicule.
I want to know where you get these stories.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, this is so stupid. And then, listen to this. Apparently Lady Gaga used, listen to this one, used little shaggy turquoise wigs under her arm in 2011. And then she used it to match her same color for her head and then her over-the-clothes crotch piece.
She's a man anyway.
And Julia Roberts sported the grown-out look in 1999. And then it talks about in Europe that sometimes they don't ever shave.
It's true, they don't.
Anyway, and then it just talks, there's a woman, Maria Del Russo, who's a beauty editor of Refinery 29, said, quote, I think the reason more and more women are using social media to show off their body hair choices is connectedness. Since the idea of women having body hair is not considered the norm, women who feel that it is their norm are likely attempting to make connections with other women who feel the same way. And what one woman decides to do with her body hair is her business and hers alone. For plenty of women, it's just hair. Now, is this ridiculous or not? These are mainstream stories. The pubic hair and the armpit hair, these are mainstream stories on Fox Health News, okay? Mainstream. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. You know?
I think you need to calm down.
It's so ridiculous what's happening with society. I can't hardly believe it.
Really?
Really?
Where have you been?
It just gets worse and worse every time I turn around. So, with that said, I want to know how many people have got their new hyperspace.
I don't even have one.
Book.
I
We're
don't
so
have
excited, and not only that, but we were able to put color inside at the back. So we have some really beautiful templates in here.
They are pretty good, I must say.
They're very good. I think we have about like 4 pages of them. Wow, like 4 pages.
I'm so sure.
Yeah. And so it's like, I can't wait.
Me too.
If you don't have your hyperspace helper, get one for yourself. Get one to loan out because everybody's going to want it, and then you're not going to get yours back. And get one to give away to a friend. Put it in your local library.
Read it while you're shaving your pubic hair.
But what about if you're a man?
Well, then do it while you're
They
shaving
might
your
accidentally
girlfriend's
make a-
pubic hair.
And if you don't have the hyperspace helper, that's the one you need to read first before you get hyperspace plus. You can do it without it, but the hyperspace helper is the precursor to this one. So anyway, very excited
We
about it.
have other new books coming out.
Yeah, we do. I have another one in layout, but I'm not going to tell you what that one is.
Why? You did once before, I think.
No, I didn't.
I
I have
think
one
you
in
did.
layout. And so I'm hoping before September Spectacular that one will be ready. Or maybe it will be ready for September Spectacular.
Well,
and
that's
those
what I have
people
here.
will be the very first ones to get the next book.
And we're not going to get to anybody else but them.
And I'm going to tell them a little secret
Ooh.
that I have my Fluffs book 1,
I didn't even know that.
that is getting ready for layout as well.
You
It's
know-
being redone, yep.
Fluff's book. They're little vulvas that are walking around.
This is a children's book, dear.
Well,
This is a
Children have-
children's book. This is a children's book, Fluffs.
I'm not going to say
Yeah,
anything.
I think that's a good idea for you to be quiet. Anyway, so September Spectacular is our next big event. If you haven't registered, we have people coming from all over the world already. I have United Kingdom, I have Australia. I have them coming from several states here in the U.S. So if you want to be in on the September Spectacular, we have brand
New Zealand
New
is
Zealand,
coming.
and we have brand new material. Brand new lectures. We have a lot of very interesting things to tell you. And it's going to be better than what you read on Fox Mainstream Health News, trust me.
I know.
All right. And then
And then,
we're in the process of finalizing, finally, your September schedule.
yes, but it looks like
Yes.
Italy, Belgium, Holland, Germany.
Okay. And then we're going to go to,
Tucson.
and this is October.
October is Tucson, Chile, and Poland.
All right. And
So
then,
And then,
maybe.
And then I was asked to come to Australia.
So we're working on that. That will be
Then-
one of our week-long classes.
But here's my dilemma.
What?
That leaves very little time in between for my big birthday party. Where will it be?
I don't know. Where in the world should we have his party? But I want to thank everybody who gave us congratulations on the Facebook page for our anniversary. I think we
Yes.
had like over 400
Yeah, we didn't get any
likes.
presents, but it was nice to have the.
It was nice to have acknowledgement, and you said a
Yeah.
lot of lovely things, and you did
Right.
give me a lovely
But
bouquet.
no presents.
You surprised me with a lovely bouquet of roses at our dinner. So that
And you
was
said
very
it was
nice.
the what?
The best one ever.
Ever.
Yeah, it was really magnificent. So thank you very much. It was a
Okay.
lovely, lovely
You're welcome.
evening that we had together.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much. Stuart and I have worked very, very diligently at our life together to bring you all this interesting information.
And what did you tell me that I was the what?
That you had spoiled me for any other man.
Because
Because you were the most challenging, unique, whatever that I could ever find. So please, if you want to send me a marriage proposal at this point, I'm going to have to refuse you because
because you already refused. Who came to the door and asked you?
Yes, but I also have all the generals too that send me
Yeah,
the
because
continual
she was
proposals.
propositioned by the FedEx guy.
Don't say that.
just
Maybe
the
he
other day.
Maybe he watches the
No,
video.
I mean seriously.
Well,
I'm going to have to answer the door from now
Yeah,
on.
in my dress and say that
Yeah,
this is
next
Janet.
time you can't answer the door.
This is Janet.
Next time you cannot answer the door naked after you've trimmed your parts.
Yeah. All right, that'll be your job.
Well,
But I think you should put on my dress. We could get you into
Oh.
it if you wiggled a little bit.
You've seen that? Never mind. Anyway, that's it for now. And we'll see you hopefully next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.